Okay, so the packaging on this guy is basically what we were used to with the, you know, old DC Icons line. You do have the open window, kind of continues on to the side. I am looking forward to the new DC Collectibles Essentials line. They look like they're going to be some pretty decent figures. But Firestorm is one that I've been wanting to pick up, so. But you do get the open window in the front. You have Firestorm here on the side. You do have DC Comics, DC Collectibles, Icons. This is number 16 in the series. On the top you got that. On the bottom you got that. On the side you got number 16, DC Icons, Firestorm, Trinity War. And on the back you do have the other figures within this wave. And on the bottom you got that. So yeah, but that's the packaging. Let's go ahead and crack this Firestorm out of the packaging and see what he's all about. Okay, and here's Firestorm out of the packaging along with everything that we do get with this figure, which does come with a little pamphlet, which at first I thought was a mistake. I was like, why did they give me Joker? But then I was like, no, dummy, you gotta open it up and look around. So it does show you how to remove his kind of, from his glove down to add on some of the effects pieces, which is a little bit kind of a pain at first, but it does work. And then of course we do get two effects, which pretty much seem to be about the same. I don't see too many differences in them, but they are done in a fairly decent translucent plastic. Nice yellow. We get some pretty cool sculpt work within them, so that's pretty cool. They look nice, and like I said, both side by side, I mean, they pretty much look to be the same. And then of course you have his like powered up hands that you can use with them that kind of have an open style pose to them, and they do have the translucent plastic with the black circles nicely painted on them, I will say. So that's pretty cool. Now as far as swapping that out, it is a little bit of a pain. You can do it on either side, but basically right here at the top of the forearm, this pops off. And then of course you can pop the hand out of, like his glove. And then you gotta squeeze the effect. And this is where I had issues at first, trying to squeeze this part in there. But I guess the more you do it, it kind of, loosens that up a little bit and makes it a better fit. And then you can put the translucent hand through the other side of that and push that in, and it kind of gives him, a pretty cool look. That's not bad. And you can do that on either side, so that's pretty cool. Or I guess even if you wanted to, and again, look, brittle. I just broke that piece. Be very, very careful. I just completely broke that piece, so I'm going to have to super glue that back on there. And I guess also you could technically even kind of put just the powered hands in if you wanted to as well. So. But yeah, I was gonna say with those with his effects, they are very, very brittle. Very brittle, and as you can see, I just broke one of those pieces off of there, so be very careful with those. But I do like the overall aesthetic of this Firestorm. I'm not the biggest Firestorm fan, but I do remember that he was, besides the normal Batman, Superman, and Dr. Doom, he was one of my favorite superpowers figures that I had, one of my go-tos. I would always kind of use him when I played with my toys as a kid, But I think DC Collectibles did a nice job on this. Now, I don't know what version of this, out of the comic books this is, but he does have a very cool look to him. I do like the flames that he has coming off the top of his head. I think that looks great. We get a nice translucent plastic with some nice orange in there, a little bit of wash as well, so that looks great. The head sculpt looks really cool. We get some nice kind of black going around the eyes. The skin tone is nice, fair enough. We get some nice kind of shading here, and then this part of his band going around his head. The metallic kind of very deep maroon red we get all throughout the costume looks great, hits the light really nice. And then the yellow, the same thing. Nice color yellow. And then all of these line works and circles on his costumes are sculpted on there, so, and painted nicely too as well. And I mean for a circle, that's nicely painted on there. This kind of piping work that we have on his legs down here is sculpted in and painted with a decent color orange. So yeah, I mean, just aesthetically, the entire figure looks pretty good overall. You know, the boots look good. We get a little bit of sculpting in there, a little bit of sculpting on the feet as well. We get some nice kind of like wrinkles throughout the costume. The back, again, this is all sculpted on there, so it looks really good. Yeah, very cool looking Firestorm. Now I do have a couple issues with this figure, and that is one, of course, the fragile, very fragile plastic that they use for the effect pieces, but also the articulation. And I do have some very loose joints here at the legs, very loose, so that is disappointing. But as far as articulation, you do get movement with the head. You know, you can move that left and right, a little bit of up and down. The shoulders, they don't want to hinge out very much. About that much is all you're going to get with shoulder movement, but it will go all the way around, of course. You do have your bicep swivel. You do have a double jointed elbow. You got to be careful. You go too much, you pop that, you know, forearm off. Now, the one thing I will say that I like about this Flash compared to some of the other DC icons I have, like Flash, for example, is his torso section has the same kind of jagged edges, which I never really cared for. But for some reason, his suit hides it a little bit better. So I do like that. And like even with the Superman, you know, it just kind of sticks out a little bit more. But with this guy, it doesn't stick out as much. But also, you don't get as much range. I mean, you get really nothing. You get a little bit of side to side. Really no forward and back. Really no side to side. Really no, you know, side to side this way. But it does rotate just a little bit, and that's it. Then of course we do get that cut for a crunch, but that doesn't really give them much movement. Decent movement back. Like I said, the legs are very floppy. It's almost like it has a drop down joint, but they are like connected. But you can drop it down, kick it forward. It kicks at an angle, but about that much. Goes back. There is no thigh swivel, but it does kind of rotate around that ball joint. You do have double jointed knees, about that much range. And then for the foot, you get a hinge that'll bring it really nice back, really nice forward, and you have a forward facing pin for, you know, rocker. And you do have 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. So yeah, I mean, aesthetically a pretty cool looking Firestorm figure. As far as his measurements, it looks like to the top of the very top flame, he is almost a little bit over 6 3/4 inches, but to the top of his head, he's almost like 5 3/4 inches. So he's right up in that, you know, DC Icons scale. And as far as a couple other DC Icons that I do have, I got the Superman, or the Flash and the Superman. So you can see how they size up between them two. And then as far as like a standard, you know, Marvel Legends or Bucky Cat body, here he is with the Deadpool. So I mean, he might fit into your Marvel Legends line a little better than he would, you know, your DC Icons line. But yeah, guys, that was a quick look at the DC Icons Firestorm. Pretty cool figure. Like I said, overall, aesthetically, it looks good. It's got a nice look to it. A little bit floppy. That could just be mine as far as the legs. But definitely be careful with these effect pieces, because as you can see, they will break very easily. But yeah, that was the review. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next figure review. Take care.